Welcome to Module 2, Governance, Decision Authority and Policy Lifecycle. This module covers KRA 1, the operating backbone of the Facilities Department. In Module 1, you learned that Facilities owns 12 policies and that the FM is the policy owner. In this module, you will learn exactly how that ownership is operationalized, the 12 policy register, who can approve what's spent through the Decision Authority matrix, how policies are reviewed every Q1, how processes and SOPs are changed through cake tickets, the 24-hour fast-track rule for operational breakdowns, version control discipline, the 5 working day cascade rule, and how records are kept for audit. By the end of this module, you will be able to operate any governance process at team fit with confidence and precision. Let's begin. Let's begin with the foundation, the 12 policy register. The Facilities Department at TeamFit is the official owner of 12 policies. The Facilities Manager is the policy owner for every single one. The first is the HSE Compliance Policy. That's our enterprise policy, the master governance document for safety, health, and environment. Then we have 11 functional policies: access control and visitor management, CCTV operations and monitoring, fire and electrical safety, lost and found management, vendor management, preventive maintenance, contractor and vendor safety, reactive maintenance and facilities ticket policy, facility projects, housekeeping and center hygiene, and the facilities governance policy itself, which is the master operating document for the department. Every decision, every spend, every escalation traces back to one of these 12 policies. They are reviewed annually, version controlled, and published on TeamFit. Memorize this register. It is the spine of everything you will do. Now let's look at one of the most important tables in the entire governance framework, the Decision Authority Matrix. This matrix defines who can approve what, and a decision outside the approved authority level must not proceed until the required approval is obtained. Routine maintenance spend up to 5,000 rupees, that's petty cash, the FM approves directly. Vendor engagement or a PO between 5,000 and 2 lakh rupees, the FM recommends, the FD approves. Above 2 lakh rupees, the FM and FD both recommend, but only the board can approve. For emergency spend up to 25,000 rupees, the FM approves immediately and notifies the FD within 24 hours. For policy changes, the FM drafts, the FD reviews, the board approves. For process and SOP changes, the FD is the final approver, no board needed. For fast-track amendments, which we'll cover separately, FD approval is the gate. Internalize this matrix. Approval discipline is what protects you and the department. Every one of our 12 policies must be reviewed at least once a year, and that review happens in the first quarter of the calendar year. The FM schedules the cycle in January. Drafts are prepared, the FD reviews, the board approves, the change is communicated to all centers within 5 working days, and the updated policy is published on TeamFit while the old version is archived. That's the annual rhythm. But, and this is critical, not every policy review can wait for January. There are 4 out-of-cycle triggers that demand an immediate review. First, a significant incident, a safety event, a member injury, or material asset damage. Second, a statutory or regulatory change, a new law, an amended fire code, an OSH update. Third, a material operational change, a new center coming online, a new chemical being introduced, a new category of equipment. And fourth, a direct board instruction. Out-of-cycle reviews are never deferred to Q1. The FM documents the trigger in a trigger note shared with the FD within 5 working days, and the review starts immediately. There are 2 change management routes, and you must know the difference. Process 2 is routine change management. Any facility staff member, except housekeeping, can raise a KRA help ticket when they spot an issue with a process and SOP or a work tool. The FM acknowledges within 24 hours, classifies the change, drafts a revision with a mandatory change summary note, and submits to the FD. The FD reviews for operational accuracy, policy consistency, and cross-document alignment. The FD approves. No board involvement needed unless the FD chooses to escalate. Then the update cascades to HODs cascade to their teams, and the document is published within 5 working days. That is the normal route. Now, Process 3 is the fast-track route, and it has one rule: 24 hours, end to end. Use Process 3 only when there is a confirmed operational breakdown caused by a policy or process gap. For example, housekeeping not performing because an SOP is unclear, or a vendor entering without a permit to work because the PTW step was missing. The FM escalates to the FD within 12 hours. Within 24 hours of that escalation, everything is done. Solution agreed, FD approval secured by email or WhatsApp, document updated with version control, communicated to all HODs, cascaded to teams via phone and WhatsApp, prior version archived, new version live on TeamFit, and the register updated. 24 hours. No exceptions. To disciplines hold our document control together: versioning and the 5-day cascade. Versioning first. A minor increment, that's a 0.1 bump. For example, version 2.0 to 2.1 is used for clarifications, error corrections, small operational tweaks, formatting updates. Nothing that changes intent or scope. A major increment, a whole number jump, for example version to .x to 3.0, is reserved for structural changes, new sections, scope expansion, or any change in the intent or framework of the policy. Get this wrong and you lose auditability. Now the cascade rule. Every policy update, once the board approves it, must reach every affected center within 5 working days. The FM prepares a clear communication explaining what changed, why, the effective date, and the action required. It goes to every CMFC at every affected center. Each CMFC must acknowledge receipt and understanding, and the FM logs that acknowledgement on TeamFit. 5 working days, every time. This isn't paperwork. This is what makes the policy enforceable at center level. Finally, records management and audit producibility. Every governance document we produce has 3 things: an owner, a storage location, and a retention period. The weekly facilities summary is kept for 1 year. The monthly facilities report, 3 years. Quarterly audit reports, 3 years. The annual facilities review, 5 years. Incident reports, 5 years, as mandated by the Occupational Safety and Health Code. Decision authority records, which includes every PO approval and every emergency spend, are retained for 7 years, the longest, because these are the audit trail for our spend governance. Policy acknowledgement records, 3 years. Every one of these is stored on TeamFit online records. The FM is the owner for nearly all of them, with accounts co-owning the decision authority records. Why does this matter? Because audit producibility is the test. If a regulator, an internal auditor, or the board asks for a document, you must be able to produce it within minutes, not days. That is what these retention periods and storage standards exist to guarantee. Let's bring it all together. In Module 2, you've learned that facilities owns 12 policies, and the FM is the owner of every single one. You've internalized the decision authority matrix. Petty cash to 5,000 stays with the FM, up to 2 lakh sits with the FD, and anything above goes to the board. You know that every policy is reviewed annually in Q1 with 4 defined triggers that can force an out-of-cycle review at any time. You can distinguish process to routine change management through a cake ticket from Process 3, the 24-hour fast track for operational breakdowns. You understand versioning discipline, 0.1 for minor, whole number for major, and the 5 working day cascade rule with logged acknowledgement. And finally, you know the retention periods that make every document audit producible, from 1 year up to 7 years. Take a moment to answer the 4 knowledge check questions on screen. Your responses will be captured in the LMS dashboard. When you're ready, proceed to Module 3, KRA 2, Daily Center Operations.